Hi, I'm Richard Benwell, founder and CEO of SquaredUp, and it's great to be speaking again here at SCOMFON 2023. Before I ask the question, can SCOM survive in the cloud era, I wanted to rewind to back when I started SquaredUp just over 10 years ago, and this was the news. System Center 2012 Operations Manager had just been released. It had RTM'd, back when we were using the phrase like RTM, release to manufacturing. I'm not sure whether SCOM was available on DVDs, but that was the phrase we were using. So it RGA'd on the 17th of April 2012, and it was a big deal. Not necessarily because of all the new features in it, but SCOM was now part of System Center, officially, the big new suite, and it had reached a level of maturity that made it clearly the best enterprise monitoring tool available at the time. And there were certain features that were exciting. There was no more root management server, no more RMS, the single point of failure for a SCOM management group. And this was a fairly big deal that now SCOM environment was much more reliable. We were excited about some smaller things like the default management pack no longer being the default for overrides. So we were no longer cursed with override hell with custom overrides all ending up in one management pack. And it had a new web console built with Silverlight, which was less exciting, landed less well. But fortunately, at the same time, SquaredUp was launched, and we were the first HTML5 dashboards for SCOM. And back just to add to the nostalgia, of course, there was the Orange Book, System Center 2012 Operations Manager. We had to wait a little longer for this to come out, but it became the Bible for all things SCOM. So just over 10 years ago, 2012, SCOM 2012 was a big deal. It was perhaps the height of SCOM, the sort of prime time for SCOM. But already back then in 2012, things were changing. Just a few months later, a blog appeared on Scott Guthrie's blog entitled Meet the New Windows Azure. And in it introduced the new Azure console, dumping Silverlight, the previous iteration of the Azure console, and adopting HTML5. And as you can see, the console and the Azure experience back then was significantly simpler than it is today. If you've been in the Azure console recently, it would be a delight to have just 6 tabs and a few things listed. But that's what Azure was looking like back then and was a sign of things to come. And of course, a lot has changed 10 years on. I'm going to use Google Trends data here just to give an illustration, so nothing too scientific or accurate, but it gives a flavor of what was happening. So when SCOM was released back in April 2012, the technologies it was designed for and perhaps even sort of built on were dominant. But of course, we can see now in decline, not going away. Enterprises around the world still obviously rely on many of these technologies really sort of fundamentally to run their IT, but being replaced by a new set of technologies with growing interest in many different new things beyond the data center. Azure itself, of course, was just fairly new, but going to see great adoption over the next 10 years. There was a shift from Exchange Server, of course, to Office 365, representing a general shift towards SaaS software and the challenges of monitoring those external applications that your business depended on. Docker exploded onto the scene, and containerization, which now is being used as a replacement for VMs in many organizations today. Even the way we build software has changed, with a shift towards DevOps, where dev teams would both build the software and automate the deploy out into production and be responsible for that application running in production as well. Taking that one step further, there's even the concept of serverless. We no longer need to even deploy or run or manage a server. We can just deploy our code in a serverless fashion onto the cloud. And even the technologies that SCOM was built on, XML, really fundamental to management pack authoring, we're starting to see a decline in use generally as a technology, and a great adoption of JSON as a new web-based equivalent. So a lot has changed over the last 10 years. The technologies have changed really sort of fundamentally. But SCOM itself probably hasn't changed fundamentally. It's gone through many iterations over those last 10 years, but at the heart, SCOM is the same product it was 10 years ago with SCOM 2012. So the question, can SCOM survive in this modern cloud era? Now, this is SCOMathon, we're SquaredUp, so of course the answer is yes. but I wanted to take some time to explain just how and in what form SCOM can survive with this fundamental shift in the technology landscape. So I wanted to start by talking about the two reasons why SCOM is or was certainly awesome. And they're two different reasons and two different use cases that we still see SCOM being used for today. One is simply it is the best monitoring for the Windows Server stack. That was true in 2012 and is absolutely still true today. It is the best of breed monitoring for your Microsoft Windows Server stack and any workloads running on that stack. So even third-party workloads, perhaps like Citrix or Oracle. So that is still true today, but SCOM was also a great single pane of glass technology. You could extend it and pull in other technologies and monitor all sorts of different technologies in your data center into one view. That isn't so true today. With the adoption of those technologies comes new monitoring tools and new ways of operating those technologies, whether it's the built-in monitoring and observability based in the cloud platforms, or APM tools that became specialized in monitoring your applications, or other tools that are now available to help you monitor and observe those technologies that are beyond the data center. And so SCOM is no longer the best of breed tool for a single pane of glass, a unified visibility, and that requires a new generation of tool. Now, the big question that many of our customers ask is, do I need to sacrifice one for the other? If one team is perhaps adopting an APM tool and there's promise there that APM tool can monitor everything, including what SCOM monitors, do we need SCOM anymore? Can we just shift all of our monitoring to that APM tool? Do we need to lose that best of breed monitoring that SCOM provides? And the answer is no, you don't need to lose it. And typically adopting one of those new tools doesn't provide you everything that you expected, and you just end up with one more tool in the mix. You certainly don't have unified visibility. And so that's why we've built SquaredUp Cloud, our next generation monitoring product. So SquaredUp Cloud provides unified visibility across your entire engineering stack. And when we say unified visibility, we mean unified dashboards and unified monitoring, analytics, and search, all on top of the existing monitoring tools you have in your environment. Those could be tools that you use for cloud and data center and application monitoring, of course, including SCOM itself, but they could be tools that your engineering teams are using to build and deploy and automate their applications. And it could be the data that you need from your user and business domains in order to understand the full picture of your applications. So we plug into all of those tools and surface that in one place. And to quote Arup, one of our lighthouse customers on SquaredUp Cloud, we wanted to create a modern observability platform with the tools we already had. SquaredUp provided the missing visibility piece. And I just wanted to emphasize that phrase, the tools we already had. SquaredUp's not trying to replace any of your tools or data sources or operations tools, but we're trying to sit on top of those tools and provide you one place to go and that unified visibility experience. The problem we're solving with SquaredUp Cloud is the problem we solved for SCOM, which is that you have a great tool that's got a lot of data in it, and you need to provide visibility to certain teams, whether that's sort of management and stakeholders needing the big picture view. Is my application available? Is everything working? The operations center who need to be alerted to particular issues and take proactive remediation in response to that, or to infrastructure and application teams who need to dive deep into their applications and their infrastructure and troubleshoot issues. And the problem that we solved for SCOM was that there's a visibility gap. Those teams needing that visibility didn't know where to look or didn't have access to SCOM, or if they did, it would be too complex for them to interpret, or perhaps actually needed multiple tools to go to, not just SCOM. And as a SCOM administrator or someone responsible for providing visibility, SCOM itself had limited visualization that just wasn't designed to give these users the visibility they needed. So limited dashboarding options, limited reporting, no native sharing, so you can share dashboards more widely, and potentially the need to combine data from multiple tools. So that's the problem we solved for SCOM with SquaredUp Dashboard Server. And it's the same problem that we're solving today, but for your entire engineering stack, where the data is fundamentally across multiple tools, whether it's in those cloud monitoring tools or APM tools or your DevOps stack. The data that you need to surface is in multiple places. And the people who need visibility are growing, a growing number of users, not just IT folk, but various stakeholders across the business. So as well as the stakeholders that we are typically responsible for within an IT operations function, we now have perhaps DevOps engineers who are needing visibility of the automation deploying applications into production, or for SREs and the dev teams themselves to troubleshoot issues when there are incidents. Or now we're adopting cloud and a need to better monitor the costs involved as well, and a FinOps function needed. But again, that same problem of having the data and many tools where that data exists, but a visibility gap between that data and the people that need to see it. And that's the problem we're solving with SquaredUp Cloud. To do this, we're doing more than just dashboards. To really solve the need to bring data together into a single place and sort of make sense of it, we need more than just a presentation layer. We really do need a unification layer. And to build that, we have taken inspiration from SCOM. So if you love SCOM and you love what it does and how it brings data together and allows you to understand it, then you'll love SquaredUp Cloud. And just to give you a flavor of what SquaredUp Cloud is and how it works, I wanted to give you 9 reasons why, if you love SCOM, you'll love SquaredUp Cloud. The first one is, of course, its integration with SCOM. So if you have SCOM, you have a dedicated product, SquaredUp Dashboard Server, to give you great dashboards. And something similar is true with SquaredUp Cloud. If you have SquaredUp Cloud, we have a dedicated SCOM plugin. So you can plug SquaredUp Cloud into SCOM and surface all the data out of SCOM that you need in your dashboards or analytics. And we're supporting SCOM managed instance when that's available as well. But of course, it's not just the SCOM integration, it's the data sources. Now, if you run SCOM, you'll be used to being able to use ready-made management packs, either from Microsoft or third parties, to bring data together from multiple tools. And we've taken that to the next level with SquaredUp Cloud. So we have over 60 pre-built plugins, and we're building many more. And many of those include out-of-the-box dashboards, so you get to plug into those data sources and quickly get to grips with the data and provide value to your users from that data source. So taking the SCOM integrations to another level with SquaredUp Cloud plugins. The third reason is extensibility. If you're familiar with SCOM, then you're probably looked at custom management pack development to be able to integrate with or monitor something that you don't have a pre-built management pack for. And although we don't do the sort of data collection, we don't have any agents ourselves, we have the same concept of being able to roll your own integrations so you can pull data in from as many different data sources as you need. And to do that, we're supporting PowerShell integrations, so you can write a PowerShell script and pull data in from your on-prem environment, or you can set up integrations with HTTP APIs, web APIs, and connect to the APIs of other tools, any tool you have, and bring data into SquaredUp Cloud that way. The fourth reason is monitoring and alerting. If you're familiar with SCOM, of course, this is the bread and butter, is to set up the monitoring you need and then get those alerts out to the teams that need to respond to it. And again, with SquaredUp Cloud, we're taking that to the next level. You can set up monitoring of any data from any data source. You can pull alerts out of a tool, or you can set up new monitoring on metrics and any other data coming out of those source tools directly. And we have multiple pre-built and a custom notification channels, so you can send those alerts out to the different teams that need it, whether that's through Slack or Teams or email or integration with ServiceNow, or building your own integration with custom webhooks. Reason number 5 is the object model. If you do know SCOM, you'll hopefully appreciate the power that the object model provides, which is modeling your entire environment, representing it as objects, and allowing you to structure your data around those objects, to search for those objects, to pull those objects together into groups, and so on. And we're taking inspiration from SCOM's object model with SquaredUp Cloud, knowing that to really provide a single pane of glass and unified visibility, we needed to connect the data together from multiple different tools. And so we have built an object graph, allowing us to scale to the number of objects that exist across all of those data sources, all of those tools that you might need to integrate with, including SCOM itself, and then connect those objects together, understand the relationships, and correlate data across those data sources. So a very powerful way of performing a similar role to SCOM's object model, but at massive scale. Reason number 6 is grouping. So putting those objects together into either sort of static or dynamic groups that allow you to structure your monitoring in your environment, representing different teams or applications or components or environments. So again, we've taken that to the next level, and we have a number of concepts, workspaces that allow different teams to manage different sets of objects and different environments, scopes that allow you to piece together objects from multiple different data sources into one workspace, and support for tags. So if you tag your resources in the cloud, you can use that to dynamically update your scopes and your workspaces, all allowing you to make sense of your environment and structure it in the way that makes sense to properly operate it and monitor it. Reason number 7 is service mapping. So taking that structuring a step further and mapping your infrastructure to your applications and your applications to your business services that ultimately deliver value to your business. And in SCOM, that was in the form of distributed applications, or if you use SquaredUp, we use enterprise applications to take the idea of DAs further. And SquaredUp Cloud again takes inspiration from that and allows you to create application models through mapping your workspaces. So a workspace that might represent an application component can depend on another workspace that might represent the infrastructure that component depends on, or perhaps a downstream component or even a third-party component. So taking inspiration from DAs and EAs, we've introduced that idea of workspace maps within SquaredUp Cloud, and it allows you to do that, again, not just on SCOM, but any tool or data source or environment that you can integrate with. Reason number 8, perhaps the best reason, is health rollups, something that I think SCOM is famous for and SquaredUp brings to life in its dashboards, which is allowing you to roll up status from multiple different environments and applications into one view, giving your stakeholders, whether that's executive teams or operations teams, a quick view at the health of all the critical applications and dependencies. And again, we've taken inspiration from SCOM and brought that with us with SquaredUp Cloud. So we can roll up health from those workspaces into a single place. But again, we can do that across any number of different tools, not just rolling up health from SCOM, but combining that with a roll up of health from components and applications running in Azure or AWS or any environment and technology that you have monitored with some tool. The last reason is dashboards, the best reason. So SCOM has awesome, easy to share dashboards, of course, in the form of SquaredUp on top of it. And SquaredUp Cloud at its heart is an awesome dashboarding product. So awesome, easy to use dashboards straight out of the box with any of those data sources, including SCOM. So those are 9 reasons why, if you love SCOM, you'll absolutely love SquaredUp Cloud. You'll find it very familiar. And if you are using SCOM to provide your organization with a single pane of glass with a unified view on top of all of your IT operations, SquaredUp Cloud will allow you to do that across any of your technologies and any of your environments. So can SCOM survive in the cloud era? Of course, the answer is absolutely yes, it can. And this is how it can. You retain SCOM for that best of breed monitoring for your Windows Server stack. As long as you've got Windows Server technologies and workloads, keep SCOM as the best of breed tool to monitor those. But if you adopt SquaredUp Cloud, it's going to give you that layer that provides the level of visibility to your business and to users within your business, not just across SCOM, but across any of those other tools and technologies that your organization needs to embrace in order to deliver IT and application services to your business. So retain SCOM, adopt SquaredUp Cloud, and embrace any other technologies that your organization depends on. And just to sort of finish off, I wanted to paraphrase something that I'm hearing a number of our customers who are adopting SquaredUp Cloud say, and that's with regard to SCOM managed instance as well. And they say our plan is to minimize SCOM's overhead by adopting SCOM managed instance, so running SCOM as a managed instance in Azure, and reducing the MPs to the core server technologies, the ones that provide the best of breed monitoring on the Windows Server stack, and recognizing that SquaredUp Cloud will be our single pane of glass. So that's the strategy that a lot of our customers who are now adopting SquaredUp Cloud are taking. They're able to retain SCOM in their environment and not see it replaced by the promise of some other tool doing the same job, but retaining SCOM for the job it does best, but embracing those other tools that perhaps are best of breed for different environments and technologies, and putting that all under a single pane of glass with SquaredUp Cloud. So just to finish, a few words on life beyond SCOM. Like you at SquaredUp here, we have lived and breathed SCOM for many years. Our business is built around SCOM. But we recognise there has to be life beyond SCOM, and we're ready for what's coming next with SquaredUp Cloud, and we absolutely plan to take SCOM with us on that journey. So I hope as a SCOM user, a SCOM administrator, a SCOM customer, you adopt SquaredUp Cloud and join us on that journey. Leveraging your investments in SCOM, leveraging your personal investments in understanding SCOM, and not seeing that slide with your organization's movement to the cloud. So retain SCOM, retain your investments in SCOM, but embrace those new technologies that your organization depends on. To check out SquaredUp Cloud, it's very easy. It's a SaaS product, so although it can monitor on-prem and cloud data sources, it's hosted up in the cloud and it's very easy to get going with. So sign up, free sign up on squaredup.com/sign up. If you want to just get a demo of what it can do and sort of see it running on top of tools that you're familiar with, then drop us a line at sales@squaredup.com. And if you're an existing customer, then ask about EAMX, our new edition that includes SquaredUp Cloud as an integration with what you have today with SCOM and Dashboard Server. So thanks very much for listening and enjoy SCOMFON 2023.